My first call on the Dreamport sales floor, the customer picked up, yelled at me, hung up the phone. I was asked not to call back. Mark it, move on. I didn't. 20 minutes later, I called the customer back, and the conversation that we had changed the entire narrative of how I see sales conversation. Hi guys, welcome back to your channel Dreamport Journey with Arpita. This is your host, and today we are going to talk about something very interesting that you people have been asking in my comment section to make a long video about how to break ice on the first call. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. But what if your first call also happens to be a difficult one? Because for me, my first call was a difficult call as well. I'll tell you in detail, but this long video is also going to be in continuation of the series that we have been building about the sales. And right now we are on the episode 4 of series 2, where we're talking about the nervousness and everything, and how you do not have that that motion of breaking the ice and then how your sale is slipping away. So this video is going to be in continuation of that, which will make sense once all the series is over, and then you will also see this video, so everything will make sense to you. So today we are going to talk about why when most people join Dreamport, they always fear about airlines, about prices, about systems, about routes, about processes. But let me tell you one thing, all of these things are very easy because you have modules, you have trainers, you have advisors, you have mentors, you have everybody who can guide you about the products. But what is the most difficult part or the hardest part of the conversation of the sales is breaking that ice on the call, where you're speaking to the customer for the very first time, whether you are on a live call, you're on the bonus queue lead, or whichever calls like marketing leads or whatever XYZ. Because when you are on that call, the minute the customer says hello, and that's where your brain freezes. That what do I do now? Because even then, you may know the entire product, but because of that nervousness creeping in, you fail to apprehend the conversation and move ahead with the call. So now, what if your first few seconds of the call, that's where you would realize that your heart is racing, your mind has frozen, you're fumbling upon simple words, and you suddenly can't even remember how the normal conversations work between two individuals. And if your first call happens to be a difficult one, then all the more that nervousness, will give you that confirmation that this job is not for me. This, Dreamport is not for me. Sales is not for me. But let me tell you one thing, that feeling itself is lying to you. Why am I saying that feeling is lying to you? I'll explain you in the later part of the video of why I'm telling you this. And I want to exactly show you what you should be doing rather of having that nervousness creeping inside you. So we are going to talk about in 4 to 5 sections of how the entire thing happens. So let's talk about the section 1 of the first question is, why do new agents feel nervous? Now see, it has nothing to do with the new agents. Even agents like us at experienced stage as well, even we do feel nervous, because sometimes you might get a customer who's actually difficult, their tone is difficult. It's not like everybody is sweet, jolly kind of customers. You will find customers in different realms as well. But what happens is, because we have been in this environment for quite a longer period of time, we get to adapt to these things. But for new agents, it becomes difficult because you never know who's going to be on the other side of the call, how is the day that they are having and everything. So, that is the reason the nervousness that you face during the first call or during the conversation, it has nothing to do with how knowledgeable are you. It has nothing to do with the customer also. It has nothing to do even about the sales as well. See, it's just that it's a psychological pressure. Now, when I say it's a psychological pressure, what do I mean by that? See, what happens is your brain suddenly enters what I call a performance mode. Because in performance mode, what happens is it starts asking dangerous questions. Like, for an example, what if I sound stupid? What if I don't know certain things? What if he asks me certain things and I do not have an answer for? What if he hangs up on me? What if he doesn't like the price code? What if he tells me something? So a lot of uncertain questions which your brain senses as a danger. Now what happens is, like I said, because your brain treats uncertainty as danger, your body starts responding physically. Now when I say your body starts responding physically, how does it mean? Your mouth will become dry, will fall short on words, your heart will race, your mind will go blank, you will be lost in the conversation, you don't know just what to do. So all of these things happen, and let me tell you, these are all completely normal. It has nothing to do with that you are bad at this job. It is just that your brain is still adapting to the new environment. Remember, I've been talking about the emotional cues, and these are also your emotional cues that your brain is internally sending to your body that it's okay. Now let's move to the section 2, where we talk about the biggest mistake that the nervous agents make. Now, because your physical body is reacting in a manner, how does psychologically your conversation moves? Because remember, your brain is functioning at 2x speed, because it is sensing the emotional uncertainty as well, and it is also responding to the questions that the customer is asking. Now, if you remember in the series 2 episode 4 that we are just talking about the nervousness killing the sales, over explaining, where I gave you an example of the customer just asked for a simple bag and the agent responded with so many things. Now here what happens is, when you are in nervousness, you automatically, like without even knowing, unconsciously you start becoming too professional, too performative, too polished. Like you want to be a pro at everything, even though you may know or you may not know anything or everything, but you still want to be sounding like too professional, right? And that actually makes everything worse, because when you're doing this, you may end up something like this. Like for an example, let's say you get a customer on the call and the immediate response will be, "Hi, thank you for calling ASAP Tickets. This is so and so. How may I help you?" Nothing wrong. Everything is okay with the opening statement and all of it, but it is actually emotionally robotic. Now, why I say emotionally robotic? Because the customer can feel immediately that he is going to talk to a salesperson, not to another human being. Now, how? So, for an example, let's say if I have to open up a call, I would always say that, "Thank you for calling ASAP Tickets. You're speaking to Arpita. How are you doing today?" Now, I just replaced "how can I help you" to "how are you doing today." Now you see, that shift in the conversation made the customer realize that he is going to talk to another human being. That is the emotional calmness that we bring to the table, so that the customer can relax around us, because customer can always relax around the people, not the system. That is where your nervousness, it takes off the board, and now you become a human being and you are present in that moment, and which is why customer can open up to you immediately. Now, let's move to the section 3, where I am going to talk about the story and the real lesson. So now let me tell you what happened on that very first difficult call. Now, if you all remember, in my videos I've been telling about 2-3 things. One, I've already mentioned about how I got my first call in the first 3 days of the nesting, and that call, that sale happened out of voicemail. Second, I did mention you that people have taken maybe months to build their return base. I got my first return customer in a span of 7 days itself in Dreampod. Third, I've been talking about how my invoices 132, 362, 831, and so on and on, how that made a difference. When I look back at them, I see failed conversations and everything. And last but not the least, I've also spoken about this customer in one of the different videos as well, where basically they wanted something else. They wanted Qatar Airways, but the price was completely different. And then I mentioned about something else, and then I made them to change the entire route, and eventually the sale happened. So let me tell you what happened. Now, when I called up, this customer picked up immediately and started yelling. He said, "Why are you calling me? I don't want to talk to you guys. Keep the phone down." And then he hung up. And then I was told not to call this customer back, mark it, and move on. But something in me did not agree. You know why I did not agree? It's not because I wanted to sell something. It's just that the idea of somebody behaving so abruptly did not resonate with me. I just wanted to find out what happened. Like, I did not even say hello. He just picked up, I just said, before even I could speak about the company, I just said, "Hello, I'm speaking to so-and-so." And that's where the customer started. So I just wanted to figure out what happened. So 20 minutes later, what I did, I called this customer back, and he picked up and he recognized my voice, and he immediately told me, "Did I not yell at you right now? Why have you called me again?" Now, I did not try to sell him anything. I did not even defend myself. I simply said, "The reason I have called you is I want to let you know that I am removing your number from our calling list, so that you do not get any more calls from us and you're not disturbed. So I just need your confirmation from you to do so." There was a good 45-second silence. And then he said, "Wait, what about the promotions? Will I not be notified?" I said, "Technically no, because if I remove your number from the list, you would no longer be in our system. And if you're no longer in our system, we cannot notify you for the promotions of our, the specials, offers, and everything that we are running. You will not be notified of any of this." And then again, he was silent for about 10-15 seconds. And I asked him, "Are we connected?" He said, "Yes." They said, "No, I don't want that. I don't want my number to be removed from the calling list." I then told him, I said, "In that case, you need to answer the call whenever we call you, and you need to let us know that what product or what promo fare you're not interested in, and then we will not call you for that. But please understand this, you are the one who placed the request on our website. You gave your number, you gave your email address, and that's why we are calling you. We are not calling you out of nowhere." And there was a good silence of 1 minute. He did not speak anything for a minute. And then I asked him again. I said, "I just want to know if we are still connected or have you hung up?" And then he said, No, I'm just processing. I now understood what you have done. And I truly apologize for the way I behaved with you, for whatever I reacted, for whatever I did. But it's just that I was petrified because I was seeing a couple of calls, from the same numbers. Then I just asked him politely. I said, did you answer any call and let us know that you were not interested? He said, no, I just saw that these are all telemarketing and everything. And I just, blurred out. I said, see, the thing is, we always call when the customer gives us a request. We do not call out of nowhere. We do not call on, cold databases. We get the details because people like you go to our website, you place the details, and that's how we get a detail. And then he said, yes, I apologize. I know the mistake I've made. And if you do not mind, now that I have you on the call, can you please tell me about, the request that I've placed? I said, of course, yes, why not? And then we went on to the conversation, back and forth and everything. I think for 2 days we were going back and forth with the conversation because I was asking him to change the flight, the route and everything because he can get cheaper and everything. And you won't believe, after 2 days, that customer literally purchased the ticket with me. I made almost about $300 GP on that first sale, which was a difficult one. $300 GP, which means my net commission would have been somewhere approximately, I think then about $80 would be my net commission then. And then not only did he purchase the ticket, after 3 days, he called me back. He said, I want my sister to purchase a ticket from you. Again, after 5 days, he called me. He said, I want one of my friends to purchase a ticket with you. Again, after 9 days, he called me. That is where I told him in one of the videos that I started my return or referral customer base right in the 7 days of the nesting itself. That customer, he made his friends and family purchase a ticket with me. Then he went on to write an email to my supervisor, and he was, praising about my service, about the experience that I have. And not only that, he also offered me a financial reward, and he also told me that, Arpita, if ever you think of moving to the States and wanting to do, work in the US, please let me know. I would love to have you on board. And till date, in the 3 years that I've spent at Dreampod, that customer has bought tickets 19 times with me. He has become my diamond return customer, and every time that he purchases a ticket with me, he always go back to that call and he tells, Arpita, I apologize for the way I interacted with you for the first time, but you gave me a lesson that day that we need to understand why somebody's calling, because it was me who requested for a call and not the other way around. You see, that is what changed the entire conversation for that particular customer. Now that is the lesson underneath that I'm going to tell you today. So now basically I'm also going to show you proof of how he wrote a email to my supervisor. Just give me a minute, I'm showing you the proof. So this is the feedback I wanted to show you guys. You see, he wrote to my supervisor, hello Supervisor Ocean, I'm emailing you to provide feedback for a service provided by one of your employees, Arpita. Arpita has been one of the great help and blah 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 everything, you see. So not only did he write the email as a feedback to my supervisor, but like I said, he went on to become my diamond return 19 times in a span of 3 years. He's purchased a ticket with me. That is what your approach to the customer makes a difference. Imagine a customer from that genre, I bought him to be my return customer, diamond return customer. Now let's move to the section 4, where why silence feels terrifying and what to do about it. Now if you remember in the story that I just told you in the experience, where the customer had gone silence thrice. Now what happens is, one of the biggest fears that we do early in life calls is, the minute there is a silence, we start to panic, because what happens is, we feel that maybe the customer is losing the interest, maybe he is finding something else. We start over explaining, we talk fast, we add more information which nobody has asked for, but people like us know that not every silence is bad. Remember, that customer went silence thrice and I did not interrupt. I wanted him to take his time to process what just happened with him, because sometimes customers are actually thinking, they are maybe checking dates, they're calculating their budgets, they're discussing with family. So silence only becomes awkward when the agent feels the panic inside it. So what happens is, the most practical thing to do when the silence appears, you can just let it breathe for 2 to 3 seconds or maybe 5 to 10 seconds, and then just ask one simple question, not 3, just one. Just ask, like, does that dates work for you, or is this route that you had in mind? Now what happens is that one customer that gives the customer way back into the conversation without putting any additional pressure on him, and it gives him room to open up again. Now the last section, which is the mental shift that changes everything. Now if you see that the transformation happens when you stop trying to impress the customer and start trying to make them comfortable. Now that's it, that's the whole shift. From day one I've been talking about, the transformation, the learning curve, the shift and everything. Again, we are back on that. And that is what you need to understand. It's always comfort first. Everything else is later. Now, when customer, because you need to understand, customers are not expecting, some perfection from you. They are expecting clarity, calm, and genuine attention, right? Now, if you remember, when I called that customer back, I wasn't trying to close a sale. I was just trying to end the interaction with dignity, mine and his, both, right? And the sale happened because of that, intention, not despite it. So, and let me tell you, this is available to every single one of you right from the first call at Dreamport. It is up to you how you make up with it or how you break up with it, right? So I would just want to, close it by saying that if you're feeling, nervous on every, like on the earlier calls, understand this clearly. Your nervousness does not mean that, you are bad at it or this job or this sales is not meant for you. It means your brain is still learning that a conversation is not a performance exam, right? It is just two people trying to figure out how they can help each other. You are going to help the customer is going to help you build your business, right? Because in the end, whoever is working at Dreamport, they are actually basically making their own businesses. It's not a job that you're working. It's not a salary. You are earning, you are making a business out of it, right? Because it's your customers, your commission and everything. So the first few calls will always feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. And that is honest. And I will not pretend it otherwise as well. So, but over time, what happens is your brain, it starts treating all these normal phone conversations like a normal process, like it is not a threat anymore. And one day the same conversation that once made your heart feel, race faster is now becoming completely natural. So understand one thing, confidence in sales is never built before the conversations. It is always built through them. So that is your biggest thing, to understand how to break an ice on the call. And I hope my lessons are going to be meaningful for you. All the things that I mentioned in this video, there are enough proofs in the long videos. Please go them, watch them, and please like, share, subscribe, and comment on each and everything so that I know what you need to know next. Thank you so much. Welcome.